Gloria Madrano from Heart of the City San Diego and the Gloria Madrano podcast. And I'm live right here on Heart of the City San Diego. So I am tuning in live. I've been doing a series of lessons on miracles. And I'm going to be tuning in each week at 8 p.m. And then we're going to go into a full-blown lesson series of lessons. And that will be somewhere, in November. So I'll get the date set here soon. But I come on every week. You'll see me every week. And but I have two YouTube channels, and I know this is a live, and I am silly, so I was on the wrong station. I was on the Gloria Madrano podcast station. And so started my lesson, and I was like, wait, am I on the wrong station? So I checked, and I was like, sure enough, I was. Sorry about that, guys. Well, anyway, I am not perfect. I am just a Gloria, but we are going to be talking about someone who is perfect, and that is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so I love to talk about Jesus. And I love to share, healing stories about Jesus. So that's probably my niche, right? I love to share, testimonial things about his goodness and his transforming love and power for us. And all the stories from the 40 or so years that I've been serving God since I was just a young adult, and watching God do so many things. And not every day was a perfect day, okay? Not every day was good. There were days that were not so good, and years and months that were not so good, But all along, Jesus proves that he is with us, okay? And that he won't leave us, and that he doesn't forsake us. So no matter what you are dealing with or going through today, I want to assure you that you are loved by a God who knows and sees you, okay? You're not forgotten, and you're not invisible to him, We think, oh, he's so massive, right? And how could he see and notice me? I'm just this little speck in a world that is massive, right? But he created each and every one of us, so he knows each and every one of us, okay? And sometimes I watch this program, this YouTube program, right? And the person asks, who is Jesus to you? And I always go away thinking, for the day, right? Because I always watch who's the next person on this show, and I think for the day, and I think, so far there's only one person that answered that question, to the best of his ability, right? And that I was impressed with, because I always think, well, how would I answer that question? Because that is a question that is going to be very different and very personal to each one of us. So the way that we answer that question, who is God to you, or who is Jesus to you, right? So, that it makes you think, right? It makes you think like, yeah, how would I say that? Well, how would I answer that? And people answer what you think, what they think that they should answer, okay? And I want to hear the true, like, nitty-gritty stuff, okay? I don't want to hear what you think people need to hear, or want to hear, or what you should say as a Christian, or what you should say as a leader. I want to hear what you really think Jesus is to you, how you really feel about that. That's what I really want to hear. Only one guy, so far in all the episodes that I've watched, one guy answered that, and it was really, really good. I said that is the way that I would have answered it like that. And I thought that was really good. So, and I'll let you guess on what that might be, because each and every one of you have your own answer, and I don't want to take that away from you, right? I don't want you to say, well, this is how it should have been answered. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that that was the closest to how I perceive in my own relationship with God, how I view it. So, everybody was saying, hi, I see you there. Happy birthday to somebody's, is it somebody's birthday? Some people are saying happy birthday. Are you saying happy birthday to me? It's not my birthday yet. December is my birthday month. So we are going to look at miracles. Let me say hi to some people first. You guys got some hard names. Safe is saying hi. Happy birthday. Lesser Jacero is saying hi. Saying hello. And Girid is saying, dear ma'am. Okay, I don't know what they're talking about. Something about Jesus being a teenager. So my name is Gloria. Who's Gloria? Gloria is this lady who is a YouTuber with 5 grandkids and more on the way. And a couple of them are now going to be 18. One is going to be 18 and on her way to university college. And then the youngest is just a little baby boy. And so they range in all different ages. And yeah, I'm just this girl that, comes on to YouTube and shares wisdom. Like the things that I talk about or teach on the most are grief, grit, and grace. Basically, they call me the voice of resilience, probably because I talk about how we can overcome, how in this life there are troubles and tribulations, which we say as people that are ministers, and we call that crisis and trauma and things. And when life roughs us up, we have a loving father. I remember my father watching over me, as I swam in the ocean. And we had a boat, and so one time we had this big scare, and the boat started to sink because he had way too many people on the boat, and my mom and my aunt could not swim, but all of us kids could swim, because my dad always made sure that we could swim. My dad was an excellent swimmer, but we all were able to swim. My youngest sibling was not, and then my brother was not. He took a long time to learn how to swim. I don't know what the thing was with him, but he couldn't float for nothing. And but he went on to learn how to swim excellent, and was on the swim team and water polo and all the things. But because of that scare, my dad put us into swimming lessons, and then he took us out to like not the ocean, but like the bay, the big open bay under the Coronado Bridge, and things like that, where he would let us jump off the boat and swim around the boat and stuff. And he watched us, and kind of, especially with me, mostly with me, I'm the oldest, and so he would always teach me to that when I start addressing things like riding dirt bikes and things, and that when it roughed me up and I was like wanting to quit, he would say, no, you have to stay the course until you're not afraid, just keep going until you're not afraid. And if you want to go further and start doing a wheelie or something like that, then, go back to practicing it. But first, stay on and get over the fear, because then if you just stop, you're not going to ever get out over the fear, and then it's going to stunt your growth. So it is very scary when life hits you hard and causes emotional distress, emotional pain, which a lot of people have been through, and they stop living. Okay, they stop doing the things that they love or the things that remind them of, and they just eliminate all of that because they're now in avoidance mode constantly, and that's not how God wants us to live. He wants us to live free, forgive others, and live free of the resentment and things like that. That causes resilience. It causes a bounce back. It causes an ability to overcome those obstacles so that you can live full. Yes, these things are uncomfortable. Okay, and in some cases, in some families, in some environments, they're also very dangerous. So I would be, weigh that out. I'm talking about things that, they're just uncomfortable emotionally, right? It's not dangerous. You're not going to get that hurt, but you're going to be emotionally hurt. And some people, even in those situations, they will avoid it. Okay. And so, those are the things that I talk about. I think that's why they call me the voice of resilience. It's been being said more often now. Let me see, where are we at? Yeah, last week we talked about we talked about a girl who was demon possessed. We talked about a deaf man with a speech impairment. We talked about the many people that were fed through miraculous situations that we're talking about the miracles that involved Jesus personally while he was on this earth with us, with the people here at this time in the Bible. So I'm going to read this one. It's the healing the 10 lepers. And this is found in Luke 17, verse 11. Luke. You can eat Doritos. It's okay. So my favorite Dorito is the cheesy Dorito. I'm old school. So healing 10 men suffering from leprosy in the Bible. Okay. While traveling along the border of Samaria, Jesus met a group of people suffering with leprosy. Leprosy is it's an illness, but it's an illness of the flesh, where your body parts can die off and fall off and things. You don't want it. And you never get healing from it. And so they would separate those people that had these illnesses into they would quarantine them into a separate place, or even islands like that, so that they would stay away, so it wouldn't be contagious, because it was very contagious. So one of the men, a Samaritan, returned and thanked Jesus for healing. So I want to share this story, and there's a reason why I want to share this story, okay? Because we see, if you've been a Christian as long as I have, you've seen so many things. You've seen healings. You've seen, devastation. You've seen oh gosh, just so many. You've seen the ugliness in life, but you've also seen the goodness of life. But you've also seen those who are so grateful. And then you've also seen those who are so ungrateful as well, right? So when he saw them, he said, this is the ultimate miracle of when the healing of the lepers. When he saw them, this is in Luke 14. When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourself to the priest." As they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, glorified God with a loud voice. He fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks, and he was a Samaritan. Okay. So this word Samaritan has a lot of, title to it. And it just meant like, you were just one of those people that, you weren't like in the in group, you were in the out group. And all these people, this group of people were healed, but only that one guy came back. That's how appreciative he was. So in 17, Jesus answered, weren't the 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? He says. He's looking. Weren't 10 of you like healed and cleansed? And so he said, were there none found who returned to give glory to God except this foreigner? So the Samaritan guy was this foreigner, right? He was kind of like not in the in crowd kind. Then he said to him, "Get up and go your way. Your faith has healed you." And here's a little bit of background. The Greek word that often is translated into English as leprosy was used to refer to a variety of diseases that affected a person's skin. During the time of Jesus, Samaria was a region within central Israel that was largely inhabited by Samaritans who were the descendants of foreigners who had intermarried with Israelites. The foreigners were brought into the region when the Assyrians conquered central and northern Israel about 2,700 years ago. The Samaritans and Jews were often antagonistic to one another, as we know today. But the biggest question, the biggest probably topic in this whole thing was not just the miracle that happened there, where Jesus healed them, 10 of them. The whole idea of why we serve God and the whole thing here is about the worship of God. And only one of them came back and gave his appreciation, his worship, and thankfulness to God. Only one of them. One in all of 10 of them. They all went away. Probably were happy. Yeah, we're happy. I just want to hurry up and get back home. Probably got a wife and stuff. Home there. Whatever it may be. But they left. They just went on and did what they had to do. Jesus told them to go and tell the priests, that you're well and all that. And so it is like that. And I've seen that, in this world. I've seen that as a minister. I've seen that around the world. I've seen that in watching people go through trauma and crisis, where Jesus has blessed their life so enormous, but they go through a situation of sadness, of trauma, crisis, some things that can't be predicted. It isn't what they brought into their lives themselves. In some cases, yes. But even with that, sometimes these people go away. They just go away. Sometimes God has blessed them and says, you're good. Some people have been vindicated, but even with all of that, they got their apologies or whatever they may have needed. They got their healings, sometimes even their lives put back together. And in some cases, you don't see them anymore. They don't even acknowledge that they were a Christian sometimes. And it's sad to see that. It's sad to see that, to know that we serve a God that is so good to us, that even in the bad times, we should bow down to him and worship him and thank him for our lives, and knowing that he's going to work it out, that he's a good God. He loves you and me, and he is working it out for you and me, for the good, for the better, teaching us. There's always some kind of lesson that needs to be learned that adds maturity to our lives, right? So I wouldn't know the things that I know if my life was all smooth. There are things that I know that other people don't know, and they will never know because they've never been through the kind of hardship that I've been through. They know some of it. They kind of can guess it. They can be a nice person to be there, but they don't know. I have friends who have lost children who have died too soon. And, they one of the things that they say over and over is, you can never know unless this has happened to you. You can never know what that's like, what I go through, what I deal with, what my mind is doing, what my emotions are feeling like. You can't know it. And I don't want to know it. I don't know that because that's never happened to me. That particular thing has never happened to me, and I don't want to know it, right? But I care, and I want to be there, And so that's what I'm trying to say. And they can best help someone who is in the same situation. But sometimes what I'm trying to say is we go through these things and we don't make ourselves available to someone else to teach them that, there's another side to the story. And what does that other side look like? How do I get there? Give me the map. Show me the way, right? So I'm all for that. I'm all for change. I'm all for the roadmap. I'm all for the journey. I'm all for being the trailblazer, the road maker, the bulldozer. I'm all for that. We're us 80s people. We are part of that generation that are the bulldozers, the trail makers, the map builders. Our maps were made of paper. So, this is the generation where everything is digital. If I got lost, I didn't have a cell phone. There was no cell phone. So my dad had to really equip me when I was driving his truck, his beloved truck. If you get lost, you better you're going to have to walk to the phone. Always make sure you have, a dime. You probably don't even know what a dime is. You have 10 cents on you in your pocket so that you can make a phone call, right? And there were sometimes I didn't have no 10 cents. So I was stuck on freeways, on you name it. I was stuck in the rain and all kinds of stuff. I even got picked up by some stranger who took me to the gas station and back. Had to trust people. I didn't know if I was going to make it there and back. Didn't know these people. But I didn't have a phone. I didn't have, a dime. And, I had to learn the hard way, but I also had to ask people to help. And I had to tell the gas station attendant, hey, I'm broke down over here. Make sure that, if somebody's looking for me, I'm over here. Okay. If I'm not there, it's because I probably got taken or something, but I found myself walking home one time 20 miles because I was like, I didn't have, I didn't have anything, starving, man, that day was not a good day, but I learned to make sure that I had that dime every time after that. Oh man, but we have it made today. We have it easy. We have all this, mapping equipment and, we have just so many things that make our life so much easier, and I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for those things. I'm grateful for the skills that I have that are old school skills. But I am grateful that my life could be a little bit more gentler, but I still have that, a lot of us that grew up in the 70s, 80s and stuff like that, we still have that alertness, that kind of, sixth sense that, hey, you got to watch this, watch that, and just keep monitoring things, because you just don't know. And then we realize, oh, wait, our life is so much easier. We can, everybody's got a cell phone. You can just have somebody on the beach say, hey, call 911 or, call, can you call my, call a taxi for me or something, call Uber. I was on a hiking thing. I don't like to hike. Okay. I have come to the conclusion all the years, growing up, I have always dreamed of, I was a girl that dreamed of climbing Mount Everest, and, I dreamed of, climbing, the highest mountains, that we have in the United States, wherever they may be. And I realized, girl, you are scared of bears and you don't like to hike. I can't even hike Mission Trails. I hate it. I was trying to get to the potato chip over there in Poway, here in San Diego. A potato chip is like this. There's this rock that overhangs, and everybody's taking pictures on the thing. I went with one of my old high school friends. We hiked that thing, and I hated every bit of it, but we had a great conversation all the way up and all the way back down. But, it was on the way back down. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, because I didn't realize that it was like a cool day, but in the middle of that hike, it got hot, and I didn't bring enough water. And I didn't eat enough before, and I didn't know how to eat properly for it. So I wasn't filled with any kind of protein or energy, anything. And so I was hating it, and I was like joking to him. I was like, okay, if I die right here, make sure you tell my mom that I love her. Make sure you tell my kids, that they. And I said, and if I faint right now, call the Uber, okay? I wasn't saying I was delirious. I wasn't saying call 911. I was saying call the Uber, because that was the first thing I could think of. But we made it down, and I was able to drink water, and, and then I was, that was the hike. I lost my toenail on that hike. So just so everyone knows, I'm not a hiker. Don't ask me, okay? Don't ask me. I will go on a walk, a little, calm, gentle walk along the boardwalk with a coffee in my hand and a conversation. I'll do that much. I'm never going on a hike again. Unless I could drive to it. So I'm so traumatized by the hike. I started talking about it. I'm like, I'm just going on. So anyway, let me get off that subject because that was traumatizing. I lost my toenail. So I want to pray for you guys. I think that God is so good. There are so many miracles and wonders and things, and goodness that can come your way. And for a lot of you that have followed me for a long time, you already know that. But I want to be a part of praying for you, praying for goodness, and praying for lots of Doritos for this person here who likes Doritos. So it's their happy place. Father, I just pray for each and every person who's here today. I pray, Lord, that we feel hopeful, that in these series of teaching about the miracles of Jesus, that we know that you love us, but that you also yearn for us to come back to, give our thanks and our love and our appreciation and our worship as well. So, in as I age, you guys, I am so much about, appreciating the people because I was just a shy little kid, back in the day, and I had so many great people come in my life. I had this one school teacher in my elementary days, and he used to teach us how to make rocket ships, and we would launch those rockets. This was like the 70s, and we all remember him to this day. We remember the time he spent with us, the excitement about science, and things like that, and the encouragement that he had. You really feel that he really liked what he did. And so later on in years, there was another teacher that, I was in junior high school, but I knew him in elementary, in my older elementary years. And he used to, in junior high school, he was so happy to see me, because he was new now to the junior high school there, and he was like, "Oh, this is one of my students," and he was happy to see me, and I was so shy and so like no, I don't want to see you because now I'm trying to be with the cool crowd. And so and he was hurt. I seen it in his face that he was hurt, and I felt bad, but I didn't know how to say I felt bad. I didn't know how to say sorry or any of those things. And one day he kind of like, scolded me. He kind of said, he, like a little bit angrily, frustrated with me, and said, I don't see you smiling anymore like you used to when you were in elementary school. And he said, who these kids you're hanging out with? They're all bad kids. And he said, and you lost your smile, your beautiful smile. Where is it? And he and I was like, oh, I was hurt. Then I was hurt. And so, but that stayed in my ear. And I said, I didn't appreciate him. I appreciate that he said that to me, right? Later on in years, other people came into my life, other teachers who really spoke into my life, who really changed the course of, the direction in which I was going in. It was not good, in my high school years. And, I more recently was able to have a party for them, and all of us in that were under their teaching in high school with them, all of us reunited, old high school friends, and we were able to give our appreciation to them, and honor to them. And so, I believe in doing that. I believe in doing that, because people don't know the magnitude on how they help when they're in it helping, and so they go away and they wonder, I gave my life to this thing, I gave parts of my life to these people, it was hard to do that, I know because I've done it, and had I not done all those things and know the feeling of that, I would not know how to go back and give my appreciation. And I'm living my life trying to do that, giving my appreciation to those, who have, been in there, helped me out, and been in my life like that, not to those people who abandoned me, not those people, but those people who are just, we just kind of lost contact and went on our ways, and it was a great day. It was a great, time of giving appreciation. So do that for people. They need to know that their efforts, their things that they gave up, days that they could have been celebrating, a wife's birthday, or days that they could have been doing this or that. They gave it up to help another human being. And the same thing with our military as well. The military, it has a lack of appreciation, and, it's hard to transition out of your title once you've had this title for a long time. I know, because I've had one. But it's hard to transition out of it, and you want to keep holding on to it. And we have to learn how to transition to the next story, the next part of our life, and stop living in, that thing that we were before. We were that school teacher. We were that, I was that pastor. I was that, missionary, the motocross athlete. I was, the top-notch swimmer. I was that, I'm not those things anymore. I'm an old lady with grandkids that talks a lot about wisdom and, grief and trauma and how to overcome those things, So, and discovering that I don't have a dream to climb Mount Everest anymore. That is not my dream. My dream is to be with my grandkids and one day watch them get married. One day watch them get married and become the professionals that they're going to school to be. I'm so grateful that I have a granddaughter who is going to the highest level of education. I'm so grateful to that. That is just, it takes a village to raise a community. It takes a village to raise a child. And with all of us together, instead of holding, resentment or whatever, and separations and, all that crap, we could come together. And we did do that. We came together and we helped to get, the funding and all of the, the encouragement that goes into, a child's development to help them to be a good human. We make a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, parenting and everything, I didn't do it right sometimes, and we have to give each other grace in that, you know, and we need each other. So like, keep forgiving, keep allowing, yourself to be moldable and pliable and, able to transition. There will be changes. It's not going to be the same, and learn through it though. Learn you have something amazing to bring. You have amazing things to bring to the table. And our military needs to be honored all the time. I'm forever saying, that they, to whoever I know, cousins and people like that who are in the military, that I honor that, right? And I am proud of that. Excuse me. I just ate, so. But yeah, I'll let you guys go for now. I love you guys, and make sure you go home and give your parents a hug, okay? And, if you have a child, give your child a hug. We're always saying, give your parents a hug, give your parents a hug. Some of these parents, they don't give their children hugs, They don't. They just want like all this, they want to be praised and taken care of, but they don't even give their kids a time of day. They're adult kids. So like, if you are that adult person, and you have adult children, stop waiting for them. Like, go and tell them how much you appreciate them. Because a lot of these parents, they don't do that. And so I've seen it the other way around too. And it's not nice. So like, anyway, just my ranting and raving on the side. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. And I'll see you next week. Okay. Bye.